All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Also want to give double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings and salutations unto the elect of Yasha, which consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today, as well as the Akim out there enduring this truth across the four corners of the earth, teaching and prophesying through the spirit of Yahweh Shai in truth and sincerity, as well as the men and women that follow and those who might look like the other nations but are of the nation of Israel on their father's side by blood. And this is a screenshot, that I had ran across that Elder Manatazak had posted, and I'll read it. Go ahead, read it. It says 1 Timothy 4:16. It says, "Take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. Continue in them, for in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee." Right? Now, I was like, well, let me read up. So upon reading up, you start out with the first verse. It says, "Now the Spirit speaketh expressly," meaning clearly, "that in a latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron." Right? Now, upon reading down, you kind of see that what's going on now with Genesis switching up doctrine. Got IUIC teaching contrary to the MOTB been RFID hip. Okay, you got some ISUPK speaking about getting all into debates and still bringing up the grape situation, but nonetheless, this truth, this doctrine, this gospel, right, is for healing purposes. Okay, and that's why through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai, we have to defend the gospel. Okay, because in order to have true prophets, you got to have false prophets. All right, because there's nothing new under the sun. Just as the Lord and the disciples and the apostles was experiencing opposition back then, the same is going to be going on in these days. And the thing is, to some people, it's going to look like they have the truth. Well, I'll speak clearly. To some followers, it's going to look like their leaders or certain leaders have the truth. All right. But the way to find that out is, of course, you match it up with prophecy. That's one of the main things. And two, you got to also be reading for yourself as well. Right? Because that's where I actually wanted to start at, where it says in 13, it says 1 Timothy 4:13, it says, "Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, and to doctrine." Give attendance to those three things. Of course, not only, but in particular, when it comes to this precept and within this chapter, because that's what was going on. Like it was speaking about the seducing spirits, right? And we know what comes with the seducing spirits. You're going to have people that have itching ears. They want to hear and see what's the new hot thing, so to speak, right? When countless videos and as the Spirit do speak expressly, the heathen can't make it. The MOTB is the RFID hit. That's just that. America is Babylon the Great, of course. Hell is doesn't exist as a place where you go to be judged and you're burning, whatever the case is. The hell doctrine needs to be pitched by a 90-mile-per-hour ball and grand slammed into the damn stands, man. All right, because it comes down to the heresies, man. It comes down. What did it say in here in particular? doctrines of devils and speaking lies and hypocrisy. It's like some sitting here and they dwelling on the law, the law, the law, the law. But I mean, you got to keep the whole law. That was the purpose of, you're basically taking YAHAWASHI's sacrifice and rubbing it in the dirt, because he sacrificed himself that we can be able to be reconciled back to the Heavenly Father. All right, as brothers mentioned, a bridge of grace, so to speak. This is a bridge of grace to the New Testament. Well, that's another thing. You doctrines of devils. You got some people teaching that we're under the New Testament. I mean, under the New Covenant. I think I said New Testament the first time, but I meant New Covenant. Tomatoes. But all of this, you got to give attention to reading. Exhortation and to doctrine. That's the guide. The scriptures is the guide of who to follow, right? Of who to be mindful of. All right, you got it. But if you just see, and that's why the people that go to church, they go to church and they just listen to whatever the pastor says, and whatever the pastor say, that's what they run with, because they ain't reading. They might read the main precepts or scriptures that the pastor bring out upon them taking their notes, but they ain't reading precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. That didn't come about until the gospel came. The gospel sprung up. So I'm going to go to 14. It says, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy, with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery. And that's what it is, which we didn't physically have hands laid on us, all right, each and every one of us, but it was given by way of the Spirit, just as they did. Everybody wasn't physically baptized, but they was baptized by the Spirit. Well, that's how we received the gift of the Holy Spirit, right? And with that comes the understanding and the responsibility of the word, right? You get attending to reading, doing your studying, right? Learning how you're supposed to be operating. Okay, you're correcting your conduct. Okay, and then teaching the doctrine, feeding the sheep, man. Fearing the Most High and keeping His commandments to your best ability. That's our job, man. And with that comes with teaching this word, studying this word, looking out for brothers, being contrary to this world. Like it says, having a renewing of the mind. We look at this world, and what's wrong with the world is they ain't got no love for one another, man. That's why the Lord said, by these shall they know that ye are my disciples, if ye love one another, right? Now with that love come rebuke, come reproof, come corrections, come with instructions, all right? Come with charity, okay? Because at the end of the day, within a responsibility, we got to make sure in a roundabout way that we on point, man. If you gonna make this truth your responsibility, we got to make sure we on point, right? Verse 15, it says, meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. Now I went to they didn't have the definition of holy there, so I found the word in 1 Thessalonians 5:23, and when you go into that word holy, it's holatalis. Let me see what he say.
Strong's G 3651, halateles.
I was close.
Halateles.
Yeah, and it says
Thayer's lexicon.
Oh, Salaki.
Halas. Halas.
And it says perfect, complete in all respects. So you want to be you want to be perfect. You want to be complete, right? When it says give thyself holy, not like HOLY, but WHOLLY, right? And it says to them, it says, meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. And once again, if you do that, That's how you understand who's teaching what the right way. Okay? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, YAHAWASHI hey, he controls the deceived and the deceiver, right? But when you're teaching this truth in sincerity and according to the will of the Lord, then that profiting will appear before all, right? Unless they are, as they said earlier in this chapter, their minds are seared with a hot iron. It's not meant for them to get or meant for them to receive. Then, of course, they won't receive it at that point, But going down into, the precept through the Spirit that sparked this lesson, it says, take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine, right? I do want to read the NLT in this afterwards, right? So you got to take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. Continue in them, for in doing this, thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear you. And that's why it's important, all right? Because you can't just be in here on autopilot. You got to read, watch, and pray. You're not just here like you got a garment in a Bible and you saved. No, there's work to be done. You working on yourself, and you working on feeding the sheep, or you working helping out the church, however, whatever the Lord called you to do. But you got to put forth an action. You're not just here sitting, consuming, Now the NLT says, keep a close watch on how you live and on your teaching. Right? And some people aren't doing that. Some people are sold out. Some people are deceiving the people on purpose. All right? It says, stay true to what is right for the sake of your own salvation and the salvation of those that hear you. Because the ones that hear you, their blood is going to be upon you if you direct them the wrong way. That's why it's important to take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. You got to study. You got to make sure you're on point through the Spirit, man. Okay? So, I just wanted to get into that. What I'm saying? It really what stuck out to me was to take heed unto thyself, because I've been in like a little slump as of late, but I know I can't, it happens. You're going to have your ups and your downs, man, but when you down, you got to do what you got to do to get up out of that. Because that's what Satan wants. And he's going to play on your mind, right? In all aspects, That's why, like I said, meditate upon these things, you got to feed your spirit every day. That's the workout that it gets to strengthen itself. All right, especially as these days get darker. I told the brother something the other day, and it was just through the Spirit. I forget how I worded it, Let me see. It says, I said, as these days getting darker, the flesh get weaker, the weight gets heavier, but Lord willing, our spirits get stronger and we remain, And true enough, I pray for brothers every day. I pray brothers pray for me every day, Because at the end of the day, I mean, we here until the Lord brings salvation. So, take heed unto ourselves and unto the doctrine, man. Hey, so with that, once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Shalom.